Running a couple minutes late, but we here. Running a couple minutes late, but we here. We'll have a good show tonight. A couple minutes late, but we. What up? What up?
We live?
We live.
Oh man, you ain't give me no time, my boy. Oh man.
We live. We on one. I walk around the club. Everybody calls that like Pat Riley. Too much money ain't enough money. I know the feds listening. What money? We should talk about the rap battles one day, just for a sidebar.
People get emotional about that too.
I know, bro. I mean, I don't know.
Dudes be out of space with some of their judgments of that. Out of space,
brother. I mean, what we gonna do? People gonna get emotional about everything. I do want to start off by saying something to the people as we finish the shares. Want to talk to everybody out there as we finish these shares. But we got some good conversations tonight. I will say that. But I want to say something because I see something, a trend every time we release our topics, and I think we need a little disclaimer out there for the people. Nate, what up, Nate? What's good, brother? Shout. Nate, what level you coaching? 11U this year? Think you're going to 11U? You 11U or 12U?
Where Nate from? Nate seemed like a good dude. Where Nate from?
I don't know if I know Nate, but he's from New Haven.
Oh, okay.
This y'all can't see this. It says watermelon pineapple. This is from Tasha. Watermelon pineapple drink infused with sea moss. I bought a bunch of them off of her. I'm gonna tag her in it. Emmis, what up, brother? Nate's going to 11U.
Eat a guru.
This drink is being laser.
What up, Cuddy?
Laser in the house. All right, we started a little late, Tito. The numbers ain't up super high, but before we start, anyway, it's your boy PH, aka the Prez, aka Mr. Above 140, and I'm coming out plain Jane with the Under Armour on. And my co-host,
it's your boy Coach Correa, the General. What's good, my boy?
And next week, we're going to have a new intro because I'm going to do it right. But for now, let's get into what we got to get into.
I met a boy today.
That's me.
So fine.
If you know, tap in, share the post. It's your boy PH, a.k.a. The Press, a.k.a. Mr. Above 140.
Come to my town and get with me. She love I'm around.
It's not about the amount of talent you have. It's 100% about the work ethic. Ask your coach or anybody that's been doing this.
I met a boy today. So fine.
Why is it? And they gonna say, oh, yeah, that's illegal. Cut this. Cut it out. All you coaches out there, cut it out. Because that's BS.
It's your boy PH, the Prez, Mr. 140, and we are back. Another exciting episode. Shout out to Gil. Gil, what up? Tyree, what up, Playboy? Yo, your son, he under 11, bro. I told you, eye on the prize. These kids can get it down packed. But let me say something, Tito. To everybody out there listening, I want to say something. We come up and we'll post our agenda and what we plan on talking about on each podcast. We come up with it and we post it. I want people to understand something. I know, the thing about handshaking and the daddy ball thing. Understand something, everybody out there. These are not topics on whether we agree nor disagree with them, but we do think that they're topics that's important enough to discuss. So us posting a topic don't mean that we agree with them nor disagree with them. It just means that these are things that we want to discuss. We're trying to come up with topics that y'all don't typically hear podcasts talk about in the youth football world, right? I know we do crazy numbers when we're doing something on a negative story, but oftentimes these are the more exciting topics we like to cover. We go back and forth whenever these negative stories happen, and we got to cover them because that's what a podcast would do. But the truth of the matter is, when you see questions like what we're about to cover tonight, these are way more insightful for parents, way more insightful for coaches. I think it allows everybody to elaborate and have an opinion, whether is no right or wrong opinion, but we see opinions from all gimmicks, even under the thread. So with that being said, Tito, my question to you is, in today's youth football game, because you're always talking about how it evolved, how it changed, and it ain't going in a great direction, what's the definition of daddy ball to you? Like, what's a daddy ball coach? If I asked you what's a daddy ball coach, what would you say?
I mean, from my experience, because honestly, that's how I got into coaching, was with my oldest. And I had no intention of coaching until I seen it was 3 or 4 fathers. All their kids were in all the major positions, and everybody else was just like spread out. But then, like attrition, how it always happens. So, you know, obviously I'm from a coaching household, as you know what I mean? So there's certain things I've always known about coaching my whole life. But anyways, working with my own child, they could tell right away he was different than everybody else. So they asked me if I could help everybody else. And, you know, here we are 23 years later. But the point is, a daddy baller is somebody that can't see past his own child and his flaws. They're unrealistic about their child's ability and what their capabilities are of doing within the organization of a team. And they still try to force that square peg in a round hole type deal. You know what I mean? Against all odds, you'll see a lot of times their child playing quarterback or playing running back, or defense playing Mike linebacker, or playing strong side linebacker, depending on your scheme, whatever. They're putting them somewhere. And a lot of times when we talk about daddy ball coaches, we're talking about they're putting those kids in their position, and we all know they shouldn't be there. You know what I'm saying? The whole world can see, a blind person can see they shouldn't be there. But either way, they're there because of the dynamic of the father being the head coach and him not being able to see past his child.
Tyrese said on point, and Gil said, you're the head coach, your son is the quarterback, shortstop, or the
That's a good one, Gil.
Right, but yeah, sometimes, Gil, sometimes the kid is worthy, right? Like sometimes it's worthy.
Oh no, so that's not a daddy ball coach if his kid is like that. I mean, you know, if the kid is like that.
That's what I was going to say, right? So let me ask you questions before I get into my thought. Let me elaborate some. So if you don't consider it daddy ball, if my son is the starting quarterback and he's really like that, and I'm giving him the ball more than everybody else, that's not daddy ball.
Well, if he's producing and he's, you know, bro, we've seen cases the other way.
No, I know. I'm walking you down
cases. Right. We've seen cases the other way. Listen, if your kid's like that, and there's no denying it, any coach is going to see that, and he'll probably do that on any team he's on. You get what I'm saying? We're talking about the other case. We're talking about part B. We're not talking about A. You know, we have seen fathers who coach a team and their kids are absolutely like that. You know what I mean? That happens as well. So I don't want people to think that it's just one way.
I want to say something to parents out there. I want to tell parents something that y'all don't know. Us in the coaching world, we know this. Y'all don't know this. So parents, listen up. I'm about to give you some jewels from a coaching perspective that coaches don't tell you, because I love giving y'all information that y'all don't know, because I think it's important that parents listen to us to get information that they don't usually get. Parents, you want to know something? Coaches with kids that are really like that gets the ball the most time and they deserve it. That's not daddy ball like Tito just said. You want to know what a coach does? Oftentimes, they dumb down their own child, which is not right, because they know what y'all saying on the other side of that fence. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Parents out there, coaches that got sons on teams that's really like that, what y'all don't know is they second guess giving their child, or often they're not giving their child the ball as much as they should, because you might say that it's going to be daddy ball. So what's actually happening is the son of the coach tends to be the one that get stuck to him, that get the short end of the stick, all because y'all parents going to get an attitude that his son is nice, his son really like that, and his son deserved the ball 20 times, but he doesn't do it. He gives his son the ball 10 times just to give your son the ball 10 times so you don't have an attitude. I despise that so much, though I understand it. I don't have any sons, so maybe I don't fully understand it. I'm willing to say that. But I'm going to tell y'all something right now. When I hear that stuff go on, I tell every coach, yo, don't do your child like that. Don't do your son dirty like that. Your son did nothing except train in the offseason while they son ate bun-buns. Worked on the field in the offseason while they child went outside or they was in the house playing video games. And now you at the field because I have the time to donate and your baby father or you don't. I'm now not supposed to give my child the ball 20 times so I can give it to yours 5 or 6 extra times just so you not running around being the cancer on the other side of that fence. Because that's what a lot of those parents that get an attitude do. I'm not talking to all the parents. You know who they are. What happens is you run up and down that sideline and you convince everybody back there he's playing daddy ball, knowing damn well that if I give your son the ball 20 times, we're going to lose. But you don't want it 20 times. You just don't want my son to get it 20 times. A lot of times, Tito, that's happening to coaches that got studded out sons. And I see it. That's the other side that goes unheard of, unseen, and untalked about, is that the coaches with kids that's really nice, they oftentimes short.
You know, I'm going through it right now. We like with Lucas. Lucas is about to play this year, right? It's clear Lucas is a skilled player. He's a skilled player. And I'm hesitant to coach him because that's gonna be the narrative. You get what I'm saying? When clearly his athletic skills are above average. We all can see it. You know what I'm saying? Every workout, everybody can see it. But I'm hesitant to coach my own child because I don't even want to hear that. Where Hector was easy, he was a lineman. He was born a lineman. We could tell he was a lineman. This one is a little different. You know what I mean? Yep. And it's going to be it's going to be a challenge.
But you know, parents that look, I'm gonna ask parents to do me a favor. I want to ask parents to do me a favor. If you're concerned about daddy ball, which you have a right to be, because I get that you want your child to get an even shot at the game. Everybody child deserves that equality, right? I want to say something though. Educate yourself on the game. I think if you have if you want to have the ability to run up and down the sideline and talk about somebody's playing daddy ball, which you do. Fans have a right, fanatics. That's what we are. Somebody's a fan of something, right? You have a right to speak. Educate yourself on the game, though. Because if you're not educated on the game, you'll run up and down and cause cancer on parts of that team that don't need to be there. Because you'll start to say he's giving his son the ball 1,000 times at running back when your son's a wide receiver and we don't have a line to throw a pass. Like, you won't pick up on the fact that though your son probably deserved the ball, he's playing in a position that is the weakness of the team. So I can't allow him to be great, even if I wanted to. That's educating yourself. See, I'm a football guy. If I brought Valadia to a girls' flag and I recognize in this, I mean, that's a bad example. If I brought my son to a men's football team, I had a son, and I recognize they don't have a line, and my son's the running back, and he's not getting no yards, I can't call it daddy ball when Tito throwing quick screens. I would be smart enough to know my son can't run the ball. Nobody can run the ball. So yes, he's throwing it out to his son, who's probably the best wide receiver, because that's how we got to get our running plays. A screenplay is the equivalent of a run play, dog. And so you have to cater sometimes offense and defenses around your strengths and weaknesses, not always around your best player. That's what I mean by parents must educate themselves. Sometimes your best player is it plays the position that the weakness of the team is at. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. If I got to start running back, Tito, but I don't have a line, it don't matter how many times I give him the ball. I might need to use the quick screen game to win this game. Best players in the backfield. But if quick screen game going to get me out the game, any good coach transitions to what's successful. If parents are educated in a sport, they'll pick up on that. A lot of coaches play daddy ball and don't care that everyone know it, because at the end of the day, who's going to stop them? Well, programs will.
I've seen it go wrong. I've seen it go wrong a couple times. Where staffs have been broken up. Where staffs have been broken up because they were about to lose the locker room. You get what I'm saying?
Listen,
I've seen it happen where they've lost the locker room. Is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That you coach has lost the locker room and has been removed. Like, I've seen it happen.
Well, not only can you lose a team during the season, you may lose them the next year. Those parents aren't coming back, or they're not going to want to come back. Now, a lot of times, people don't want to come back, and it's not daddy ball. It's perception of daddy ball, and that's okay too. People have a right to take their child to be great on a losing team if that's what they prefer, right? Like, I'll take my child from Tito's team, giving his son the ball, and we're winning, and I'm a part of it. But Tito's son is better than my son, and I don't like that. But you know what, Tito? I'll be the best player on Derby, so I'm going to go play for Derby, not Tito. And when I go over there, guess what I don't, Tito? I don't have an answer of when people say, yo, Phil, why you take your son from Tito? I don't want to say Tito's playing daddy ball. So you know what I'm going to say? Oh, I don't really like the way Tito calls offense. That doesn't even make sense. If you're not coaching, why do it care? I tell you this, and me and you talk about this all the time. When you're good, you can damn near run anything and win a national championship. We saw West Haven, 11U last year, one of the better teams that we saw in New England come out of New England in a while, get beat with the wishbone offense.
12U?
At 12U. Get beat with the wishbone offense. When you're good, you can run anything and win.
Yeah, but the wishbone is a good offense if you run it the right way. Like, it's a good offense without.
I use that to say not a lot of people think the wishbone's a good offense. They think it's antiquated, right? And that it's old, and I don't know why he's running the wishbone. So that's why I use that offense.
No, I mean, but the wishbone, when you run all the bells and whistles of it, is as nasty as the wing tee. The wishbone could be nasty and deadly if you get the blocking right and all the faking and all.
Power I saw Beacon House win with Power I. I seen a double wing, the wing T, I formation one. I mean, the team that beat us last year got to the national championship.
We saw split back. We saw the Junior Celtics in the split. We see
Junior Celtics
split back pro. Split back pro.
Split back pro.
You know what I mean?
A regular split back pro. So you can win doing anything when you're good. So saying somebody in the offense they're calling is irrelevant. Like and that's what I mean by people should educate themselves. Now, what is the definition of daddy ball to me? It's when, and I think I agree with your sentiments. Basically, when you have a parent, and it's not all, because, you know, we got a lot more women in sports now. When you have a parent, I haven't seen a woman do daddy ball, though, to be honest. When you have a father who's coaching his son, may not even be the head coach, and his son is in position because of nepotism, to me, is daddy ball. My son ain't the best wide receiver, so he's starting. He don't even really got to get the ball, in my opinion, for it to be daddy ball. But if your son is not the best wide receiver, and every time y'all start, he's out there looking the part when there's a better receiver on that team, that's daddy ball. Daddy ball to me is not always those that have that's scoring the points and getting the ball. It's those that's in position to score points and get the ball is also a problem to me. Because I'm gonna be honest, Tito, if it's the fourth quarter and it's regional championship time, and I come out in a pro set with 2 wide receivers, you telling me my top 2 wide receivers shouldn't be in the game? And if Phil's son is in the game and I'm the 4th or 5th best wide receiver, that's nepotism. That's daddy ball to me. You in position because of me, son. You really shouldn't be in this game. Even though I ain't passing, I'm keeping you in the game because you my son. To me, that's still daddy ball. So I take that an extra step as saying daddy ball is even putting your child in position when other kids should be in that position, even if it's not the main point of the offense. I think that's a little bit of daddy ball as well. Regardless of how it's seen, I get usually coaches' kids are putting in the work because coaches are usually the ones doing the work. So their kids are usually with them, i.e. Tito, Lucas is out there practicing and running around with the 8U. That's where y'all starting at this year. That's where you at. You're out there. So naturally, your son is out there. Naturally, your son is getting better than the other 6-year-olds who parents ain't at the field, who parents don't coach. So yes, naturally, usually, the coach's child is usually one of the better kids on the team. Usually, not always, but that's usually how it happens. I'll let you finish off the topic and we'll move on.
No, I'm good. I spoke my piece on it. Like I said, it still exists till today. It's always going to exist because a lot of time, the only people that will take this job is if you have kids involved. So you're always going to see cases of it. Hopefully, you see less cases of it than more. That's what you would like, so it continues to be quality football.
I think what you see I think what you see is legit complaints about daddy ball is becoming watered down. Lately, parents use it when there are better team options in front of their kid. They won't recognize their child is not as good as they believe or willing to outwork the other players. I agree with that. Next topic I think is important. Do organizations, and this was discussed, do organizations have a duty to take their local town players before considering out-of-town youth? What say y'all out there? What say you, Tito? Do Hartford have
in a lot of
required, but not by any law, just off of community, I guess.
I would say yes, because some of our organizations, and I don't know about y'all, but I know about us, is based on having New Britain children playing in your organization. You get what I'm saying?
You're saying you
resources
have
are available.
Rule, but my question is a little different. Take out
not
the
about
fact.
Rule, I'm just saying about.
I'm saying, do you think organizations should? I guess that's a better way. Do you think organizations should look at their own community and backyard before allowing resources for people outside? That's what I'm more asking.
I mean, I think, yeah, you would like it to be that, but you'd also like to compete. So I see the other side of the question. You get what I'm saying? I understand there's another side to the question, but you would like to service your community first. Now, all of us know we all service people from out of town. We don't say no. If you decide to come here, then it's we're open for that as well. You understand what I'm saying?
Does it bother you if to have kids from the outside on your team with a waiting list, or kids from your own town and city that didn't make the team on a waiting list? Like I wonder how the coaches out there feel. That. Go ahead.
That's a good question. I mean, look, a lot of us are in dual. I'm trying to think of what the correct answer is here, and I can't come up with one right away. That's just the God's honest truth. But in a lot of our situations, we're in communities where we're battling with other programs where you have to take the out-of-town kids as well. So I don't think, like in my community, no kids from New Britain are getting, they could play to one side or the other. It's not because you don't have a choice if you leave New Britain. You have a choice to play. There's room for you. Now, if you go out of town, that's another thing. So, I mean, it's not like we're turning kids away to take out-of-town kids. So I don't know what the correct answer is.
Yes, really look what the mission of the organization has posted. The organization on this website say they're for their community. True. Yeah, this is tough, man, because I think oftentimes it's a balancing act for programs, right? So let's take Hartford, for example. Our registration been open online since February. If I get 15, 20 kids that come from New Britain and want to register, I take them. And if I get up to my mark at 30 kids and I shut it off, there may be kids from Hartford that don't make it in. And so you have to balance community with business, right? Because we're not only a community program, we're business as well. Because you can hold off those 15 or 20 kids from out of the city, but what if the Hartford kids don't come? Then you're losing the opportunity to even have a team. So to me, it's a balancing act where I think, listen, I think all things being considered, you have to take the kid from your community.
I mean, yeah,
if your community allow you an opportunity to win, they're going to pay the registration, they're going to show up, they're going to be dedicated, right? And then you got a kid outside your community, allow you opportunity to win, they're going to show up, they're going to be dedicated. All things being equal, the kids from your community should get in. All things being a little unequal, the kid from your community should get in. But you also have to balance the fact that, like you said, in today's climate, local football is not a community anymore. Local football is like Hartford County. Right? Like
it's
Hartford
regionalized.
County.
It's regionalized.
Yeah. And so you could potentially say a program is a Hartford County program because you're getting kids from all of the Hartford County teams and you're servicing all those kids. Now, you're right. That goes back to the city of Hartford wants a certain percentage in order to utilize services. Same thing with New Britain, right? You can't show it with all Hartford kids and say, hey, we're the New Britain the New Britain Raiders and expect to play on their field. They're going to say, get the hell out of here. We're not going to allow it. And so I think it's a balancing act. You ideally want to support your community as much as possible. Listen, I'd love to have one team in Hartford where we have two teams every level and it could only be kids from Hartford. If that's what happened, I could be fine, but that's not the reality of the situation. Out-of-town kids want to play here, and there's some in-town kids that don't want to play here. I signed a lot of waivers. There's a lot of kids from Hartford that don't want to play in the city. And so just like we have them going other places, people got them coming in. So I think that it's I think it's important to I think it's important that we at least try to acknowledge that though that's the goal, it's not always possible to accomplish. I don't think it's always possible.
I think I think there's people that sell themselves as that, but we all know nobody is no more. So I almost think it's like, let's all be truthful. We all got kids from out of town in our programs. Now
yes.
Some of us may be a majority from one city, but I believe everybody, any program that's been around a long time has people from out of town there. And you don't try to turn your kids away. You try to accommodate everybody. But it comes down to, like you said, the numbers game. There's a balance. And, either way, when it's even, somebody should, the kid from your town should get the nod. And we know it doesn't always go like that. But I get the discussion.
I don't necessarily agree with your statement wholeheartedly. I don't necessarily disagree with it wholeheartedly, and we've tackled that point a lot. I don't want to get too deep in the woods, but not signing a waiver is not necessarily hostage. It's business. So because I don't sign little Tyree over to New Britain, because if I sign him over, I lose my 12U team, I might have to make a business decision and say, look, man, he got to play here because the rest of these kids going to follow him. And that's a business decision.
Right, because the other side of that conversation, you know, if you're representing a brand or an organization, the brand of the organizations has to be protected at all costs. And I think people lose sight of that. You got to protect the brand at all costs. If you're in jeopardy of going away, you can't just be signing waivers over for, you know, the own sustainability of your program.
Hey, Scott, do me a favor. How many kids are in Albuquerque? You say that all your kids is from Albuquerque, but tell me how many, what's the population? I'm just wondering.
I think Albuquerque is a big city. I ain't never been to New Mexico, but
business and youth football is crazy. Tyree, I think you mismanaged that statement. Youth football is business. Like it's business. They're nonprofit businesses. Most, if not all, youth football programs are LLCs. The only out-of-town kids we accept are the ones that their town don't offer at a particular level. That's Ansonia. So, you know, New Haven not offering a 13U or a 14U, they would take in the kid. Why would you keep a player on your team that don't want to be there? Willie, for the same reason that I think we just acknowledged, for business purposes. And I know that's the not happy answer for everybody out there. But as an admin, I'm here to tell you I understand it, even though programmatically as a president, I don't engage in it. So it's a double-edged sword. I'll give you an example. Like I just said, Willie, if your son is a stud, he's the most popular kid on my team, and the 12U team is holding on really by your son, no, I'm not letting your son go next to the next town. All of my kids may potentially decide not to play because of it. Now, I know you guys from the parent perspective, and I'm hypothetically, I'm not saying you feel like that, may feel like, but that's my son's decision. That's my family I'm paying. Cool. But if you're going to be in Pop Warner as a business, I have to make a business decision for my business. It ain't sometimes, I think Tito said this a couple podcasts ago. Sometimes we have to make decisions that it's not gonna be popular. They're not gonna be happy.
They're unpopular.
They're unpopular. And when there's no way to make everybody happy. We have two leagues, AYF and Pop Warner. Most kids play for Albuquerque. And most kids play YF. Albuquerque has around 500,000. Wow. I mean, that's the top five
big city. That's
together. So that's a massive city to us, Scott. That's like that's way bigger than any of our cities, times 4 or 5. Nah, they don't work like that, Ty. There ain't no keeping on the hush. You can't keep nothing on the hush in Connecticut. People know where you live. And who wants to take that chance? Just some parent info, Tito. I'm inserting something here. I think we should discuss and enlighten these parents that youth programs, flag programs, they aren't from a kid perspective. Your kids aren't getting full rides from these programs. I'm sorry. I know there's coaches that's going to tell you they got connections. And they know the head coach. Tito know prep school coaches. I know prep school coaches. You're not getting a full ride because of the program. I'm here to tell you that a prep school is not taking you because you choose to play at a specific youth football program or at a specific flag program or 7-on-7 program. If your child is going to prep, it's because your child has the talent that they are looking for. Your child could be going to Glastonbury youth football program. If the prep school want that kid, he's going to come get him. There is no school or no youth program getting your kid these offers. You allowing parents, I'm trying to help you. You're allowing people to tell you, come play for me. I'm going to get you an offer. It do not work like that. It don't work like that. Like it just don't work like that. Now, what I think they mean, and I'm going to go out on a limb and give everybody the benefit of the doubt that says that. What I think they mean is I have the ability, while you're playing for me, to get a coach to show up and talk to him and give you an extra look that coach don't have. That's called relationships. There are coaches with relationships. There's programs with relationships. Ain't no program getting you into no prep school. Ain't no youth program damn sure not getting you into college. Tito, I want to read something to you. I was talking to a coach about this today. And I'm not going to say his name because if I say the town, everybody going to know. But he said something. He said, we got a blank kid who was a big crybaby that quit after playing junior peewee. Never to play good football again. Played football in high school, at the high school. Then he transferred to Brunswick. Initially committed to Kentucky, but then now playing at Boston College. Youth football success or lack thereof does not equal success in high school or beyond. It does not mean anything. And most of these fools are too stupid to realize that. I ain't saying I agree with his post. I'm reading to you a story in which a kid did not do. And I think I could say this. What Bloomfield player was too big to play youth football? Never played until he got into high school. It was it Freeney? No, it wasn't Freeney. Was it Freeney over? Sure it was him. Who came out of Bloomfield?
Well, Pinnock, Freeney, I think all those guys were pros. Those were the two that I know.
I think it was Freeney. It was Freeney. I think Freeney ended up playing soccer, didn't he?
Well, in middle school,
I think it was. It might have been. I might be wrong. It might have been Chris Baker. I'm talking about. I'm not sure. One of those guys. It was Freeney. Corey Knighton just said it was Freeney. Didn't get to play youth football. And in my opinion, probably is going to be, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame from defensive end. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be.
He already in. He got it this year. He got it this year. He's a Hall of Famer this year.
Oh, I didn't know that. Congratulations to Freeney, man. Hometown. Yeah. LJ said that statement is wildly inaccurate. LJ, you can't say his statement is inaccurate when he saw the process through. Now, you may I think you're talking about the part that says youth football success or lack thereof does not equal high school success or beyond. I tend to agree with him. I think, Tito, we've seen a lot of youth football success that didn't mean nothing beyond. And I think there's also a lot of non-youth football success that equaled success beyond. Just my opinion, but that's what I've seen. Now, I have seen kids that dominate in youth football dominate on the next level, but I think it's more of the opposite. I do. I think we hear about the good kids more because, like you said, Tito, the as of what do you say, about 8 to 10 years ago, we got these new this dad football thing where it's all over the internet, it's all on social media, and they talk their kid up so high that we follow those kids and they become the story. But I think there's more kids like the kid who I just read that nobody talks about. They don't have nobody advocating for them. And the kid go from Brunswick to Kentucky and now playing at Boston College. We don't even know that kid, Tito, because he didn't play youth football. So we don't we don't hear those stories. They go unknown. In my opinion, they go unknown. Like, we wouldn't know this kid. I know the name.
I didn't know. I wonder what you're talking about. Send me that link of the story so I can read.
No, I'll tell you who was talking. But my point is, I think that we hear more often than not.
People want to give people credit for things they don't deserve. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? We don't hear kids that hit puberty early can dominate youth. Then when they catch up, they become average. You say that all the time, Tito.
Oh, we've seen that happen. We've seen it happen a lot.
Isaiah Miller, probably the most famous youth football player on earth.
He never grew. Yo,
can't
you
prove
heard
this.
that you brought. Oh, God.
What?
I was just about.
I can't prove this,
tell you,
but I'm
here's another
assuming
story.
that if you poll kids who have played high school and beyond and come from a program that gave them proper football IQ, they would have more success in football than those that come from subpar systems. Subpar system. That's winning programs versus non-winning. Is that what you mean by subpar?
I think he's talking about actually learning, learning wherever you're at, learning what it is you're doing.
What youth football program got high football IQ? What's a high football IQ football program?
I mean, kids that are retaining knowledge that they use moving forward.
Youth football program, not a kids. Dude, I'm not being funny. I tell me a high, not New Britain, because obviously they gonna. Do you know a high football IQ youth football program that you could think of? Maybe you can. You don't even got to say the name. I just wonder. Like, that's a difficult thought. Like, that's a difficult thing. That's why I'm saying that.
I could tell you this, yo. When I was coming up, one of the programs I used to always look at and watch because I thought what they were doing schematically was above everybody else was the old Monroe Lions. I'm talking about the years back, Monroe Lions.
I know
the last 20
about,
years.
Yep, Monroe Lions.
The Monroe Lions, bro.
Really good. They were really good.
Those kids, Magic is still good. Those kids were doing things. Everybody talks about running the spread. Them and when Watson was coaching Springfield are the only two youth programs I ever seen to run the spread the right way. All these other cats are saying, Russ, where you guys ain't running spread. You're not running nothing even remotely close to it. Watch them old Monroe Lions teams if you want to see how the spread's supposed to be ran. They were the only program I ever seen do it and do it well. I
tried not to give up the goods, but Gil did it. That's my wife, college roommate. He wanted nothing to do with youth football. Stratford High to Brunswick to BC. Decommitted from Kentucky playing O-line. It's true. That was it. High IQ, New Canaan and Fairfield this year. Don said, if you have a high school system that's failing your child and you decide to change schools, you're supported and a great parent. That makes sense. But as much as I like seeing kids stick around their communities to play, we need to accept sports matter and this matters. I agree, and a program name don't guarantee a look from anyone, but proper coaching can certainly change a kid and their trajectory on and off the field. True. We all have seen programs and coaches that shouldn't be doing what they do. True. But also, let's not forget, Tito, and I think we can agree to this. There are coaches that win that don't teach a kid a goddamn thing. There's programs that win and they ain't teaching these kids nothing. Right. Like, there's another side to that, too. Tito, you wearing the enemy hat. Go Phillies.
Hey, I'm New York every day. If anybody know anything about me, they know.
Steve agreed with you. He was saying, Miami Gardens. Monroe. 15, 20 years ago, Miami Gardens, Coach Rod Mack. But you guys are mentioning coaches. What I asked Tito was programmatically. Marcus Flanagan's numbers don't lie in the last 3 years.
I've never seen when we talk, the question was a program with high IQ, the Monroe Lions.
Right.
The Monroe Lions. The Monroe Lions. Top to bottom. Their 8-year-olds was doing shit like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what's going on?
I never played against it, but I used to hear about it. So, this was just a segue. This was just something I wanted to throw in there to talk about it real quick. Here's the big topic of the day, everybody. Drum roll. Let's just have this conversation and have it now. Already, there were people on both sides, so it's not a right or wrong. Please leave your emotions at the door. Is it time, Tito, to reconsider shaking hands at the end of football games?
I think at this point, it's what's best for our community. So let's just, if the two head coaches want to, if there's respect between them and honor, and they want to, you know what I'm saying, exchange emotions with each other at the end of the game, I think that should be the extent of it. I don't think we should do the whole team shake your hand thing no more, because I think there has to be a mutual respect. I mean, you know if you mess with a person or not. And if you know you're playing somebody you don't mess with, I think in them situations, especially if it's a close game, especially if there's high emotions involved, it's probably best that teams go their own ways at the end of the game, and the two coaches could give a gesture or, you know, a peace out gesture and just leave it at that. That's just my opinion. I think there could be quite a few dust ups that we remove by just doing that.
Let me say this. I like the idea of how the NFL do it. And I think kind of kids would do that if we left it up to them. So here's what I'm saying. I don't want people to think that anyone's advocating unsportsmanlike behavior, because I don't necessarily agree that making kids walk through the line and shake hands is teaching sportsmanship. Like, I don't agree with that statement. I know a lot of people disagree with me out there, and that's cool. I do not agree that because you line up and you shake hands, you have taught your kid sportsmanlike behavior, because there's some teams that are unsportsman all game, and then they shake hands. We don't particularly say, oh, they got good sportsmanship. No, there's a lot of unsportsmanlike teams that shake hands at the end of the game. So just because shaking hands don't make you sportsman. I would like to see it where, Garrett says shake hands at the beginning of the game. That's an interesting thing. But I would like to get to a place, especially definitely at the 12, 13, and 14U level. At the 6 through 11, I think it should be maybe a different rule, because they're younger and they don't know what to do after the game. They run off with their parents and do backflips like Spider-Man. They don't get it right. But at the 14U level, I'm going to give an example. I think this is the best way. The Hartford Hurricanes played California on national TV on ESPN. Steph was coaching. They beat us down, Tito. I think they beat us like 34-0. Our kids came to our sideline, and we're the Hurricanes, so Pop Warner was all on the field, the TV field. So this was at ESPN at Disney World. The Hurricane kids took off and bolted towards Pompano Beach Hurricanes. Pompano's hood. Pop Warner started screaming at Rich, grab those kids. Our kids ran over there, started dapping it up. We had the twins, rest in peace to one of the twins. The twins was on our team at the time. They ran over there, and our kids and they kids just started showing love, dapping it up. And Pop Warner was like, yo, much respect for what y'all did. We have never seen that, so we was a little worried. Our bad, like we didn't. At that age, I think it could kind of be like that, where because at that age group, if you're in a regional championship game and it's super chippy, you can always say walk through the line. I agree with you in a sense that it only take one or two kids to say the wrong thing, because one thing about those children, they're not coming back to youth football. So there's no accountability at the 13U or 14U level on that last game. What I don't like about that game is if my 14U is playing Tito and we're losing, I get into a fight with Tito. I'm going home regardless. But Tito, if your team fight me back, your team is getting disqualified. So what's the trade-off? I think that we should start to consider allowing coaches, I agree. I don't know. I don't have all the logistics. I don't have the answers. But somehow to do what the Hurricane kids did. When it's love, kids going to show love. And when they really have this fight amongst each other, then it's best to separate them, because that's what we do when the fight happens, right? What do? Yo, break them up, separate them. And so saying, oh, we definitely got to shake hands is cool. It's groupthink, and that's cool. But I do think that thinking about other options doesn't make you against sportsmanship, in my opinion. Captains shake hands at the coin toss, or get rid of that also. No. Listen, there's no end. There's nothing. Maybe Scott, but I've never seen two captains just go out to the coin toss and start brawling. Right? This stuff happens at the end of the game when somebody lost. Emotions have ran high. People disagree with calls. It's spicy. I don't really like what you said. So we're trying to just think of, remember the other night during our discussion, everybody kept asking us, what can we do to help calm this down? This is just the option. Boxers and MMA fights beat the hell out of each other and shake hands. But if it's a game, it's getting crazy. No handshakes are needed. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like it shouldn't be
there, Gil. I think we're there. I think we're there.
Well, do they shake hands in high school, or do they kind of go and do it themselves?
I don't know. I'm talking about what we deal with. I think we're at that time.
That's the question. That's all. I don't know the answer.
Right, but I think we're at the time where I think we really need to look at this, because I believe things can be avoided to an extent. I believe certain things can be avoided to an extent. Yeah, but a lot of times it's not the coaches. Sometimes it can be outside influences. Sometimes it can be coaches getting in kids' ears. Sometimes it could be, all right, back to if there's a relative on the coaching staff, they may be living vicariously through their kid. Like, at the end of the day, I think we're at the point where it needs to be considered.
I agree. Shaking hands at the end keeps the integrity of the game. But I guess what Tito and I and others are showing concerns with is, have we lost the integrity of the game? Like, have we got to a point where the integrity
there's way too many low character coaches involved in the youth game now. People that shouldn't be out there, that have no business being out there, are out there because we're all in need of coaches. It's not the same thing. Those days are over with. The dudes really don't mess with each other, especially here in Connecticut. Like, there's no point. If there's no mutual respect, there's no point of even shaking hands. Just you go your way. Let's end it on peaceful terms. Everybody get home, and then y'all can go online like you always do and just start spatting off. I mean, it makes for a much safer place, in my opinion. Cats that think that it could be restored, it can't. People don't mess with each other out here. That's just the straight up truth. So we need to keep that in mind. There will be no fixing it. We tried to fix it. We had all the major players in the room in New England a year and a half ago, and we're still at the lowest point. It's not going to happen. It's over. It's done. There's no need to discuss it anymore. Like, it needs to be thought about to avoid serious issues from happening.
Corey, I like your idea, brother. He said coaches should know the pulse of their team, and if the energy is negative, then the coaches meet and shake hands. I agree. Alicia said
I said that first.
Or some played at Windsor. It's football. Competitive games will get chippy, but definitely be done on a game. It should be done on a game-by-game basis. There's no right or wrong answers. Of course, listen, there is no right or wrong, right? You could do it our way and fights can happen. You could do it the opposite way and fights can happen. We can just do it both ways and nothing happens for the rest of the season. We don't know. But the idea is, like, this is a conversation you have never heard anywhere else.
We're trying to come up with solutions.
Yeah.
We're trying to come up with solutions.
My team's going to line it up, but if the other team... Gene, let me ask you something. Let's say the game's chippy, your team just lost, and you felt like the other team got cheated. You mouthed off at the other team crazy and the coaches and the refs. Gene, I never seen you do that. You was cool when y'all played at the big house. But let's say you do that. Do you think it's disrespectful if the other coach go, you know what, at this point, based on what reacted during the game, I'm going to fall back and move on. I don't think it's a good idea for our teams to meet. Now, you also are, Gene, aren't you at like 9 or 10 U? Like I said, I think it's different down there. They should automatically have to shake hands. I think it's a little different down there. They're way more controllable than 13 and 14-year-old kids. Adults are effing up youth sports and need stricter policies geared towards adults coaches. Honestly, what policy, Dustin, can we implement? Like, what policy? Been watching youth football for about 7 years. Never seen kids fight during handshakes. Not to say it doesn't happen wrong message being sent. Kids fighting during the handshake may not have happened, but the handshake has caused fights. I think that's true.
Well, we've seen these dust ups and flare ups. We've seen other things happen to get carried out to the parking lot. We've seen things happen. I mean, no, that was during the game. I was going to say when we was just in Florida now, there was a crazy dust up in UIF, but it was actually during the game. It wasn't even a handshake, so.
I don't know, man. I think it's still an important part of the game and life lessons. You can't take an L like a man for the coaches. Then we got to have another convo. I'll always line it up and take my L and teach kids to do the same. Wes, brother.
We know when there was etiquette. When there was etiquette, right?
The problem is, Wes, we trying to, when you're trying to keep kids safe, we're never talking about people like you, Wes. We're never talking about people like me or people like Tito. We're talking about what Tito constantly say as the low character people. Remember, when you're trying to keep kids safe, you don't plan for the best, you're playing for the worst. So the worst of those characters, how do we play in this sport to make sure it's safe? When Phil play West, it's always going to be love. But what happens when West play William? William with the BS. And so that I think that's a little bit mentally where I'm at with it. Don't let 7-on-7 FR up. I've seen more fights.
It's too late. It's too late. It's right what we have. But how many of those fights in parking lots? How many of those fights in parking lots was flare-ups from what just happened at the end of the game with the handshake?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen where it carries to the parking lot and things get real. Like, I just think we're at a point because I truly believe we've lost the etiquette and the parameters that this thing was built upon years ago. Like you guys said, it evolved. But in my opinion, it's evolved for the worse. And then when things evolve for the worse, we got to try to stop them from evolving. I mean, I think that's the cycle of life. Like, things didn't evolve the right way. This thing has gone completely somewhere else. We got people that got no business being out there leading children. And we're seeing a lot more things that shouldn't happen when I believe they could be avoided. And this is a solution. I'm not saying it's the answer. I'm just trying to offer a solution of maybe how we could keep these things from happening again.
I mean, in tackle football, we've seen kids get shot. We've seen somebody get killed. Last year, right? Wasn't it last year we covered these stories? Kid go and shoot somebody. A brother of an NFL player shoot and kill somebody. You don't have to wait till it come to your doorstep to at least have a conversation. Again, I predicated this whole thing personally with this convo to say it's not necessarily I'm saying it. Kids should not show sportsmanship and shake hands. What I'm saying is, I actually don't know. I don't have the answer. All I know is that the handshake has been tough over years. For those that haven't been at the upper levels, I've been coaching at 13U and 14U for the last 6-7 years. It gets tough. And I have not, my team, I have held my team out of shaking hands before because of the kids I know I had and what transpired in the game. And I know what would have happened if I would have walked them through the line. Now, you might say that's bad sportsmanship on myself. I could have walked them through the line, allowed the BS to happen to show you I'm a sportsman, and then the shit would have popped off and I still would have been to blame. So there's no right or wrong answer like the young man said earlier. Policy and travel ball down south. The coaches are responsible for the coaches. Parents are responsible for the coaches are responsible for the coaches and the parents. And the head coach can be kicked off the field of the game for the rest of the tournament. That still won't stop nothing, though, in the moment. Absolutely, Tito. Tamika Penn said. That's unfortunate for real, and I get what both of y'all are saying. Wanting to limit the opportunity for something to happen. That's it. At the end of the day, it's just the game. The handshake symbolizes that the respect for one another. The game is spicy and there's fights. Sure, cancel the handshake, but to not shake hands for no reason is wild. I agree with what the handshake symbolizes. For years, it has symbolized unity, sportsmanship. But I guess we're asking the question is, are what these kids are allowed to say, what's in the lines, what coaches are saying, the coaches in the lines, what coaches are saying, the kids in these lines, has it got to a point where sometimes a feeling like it's a symbol is not going to stop violence, unfortunately. I agree though, Kim. I mean, nobody's talking about canceling it. I think Tito said earlier, if Tito's playing field, we got mutual respect, we good. But what happens when they don't have mutual respect, or when you got coaches that genuinely don't like each other, but they have to play because the league scheduled them together? How should that go? Should be up to the head coach to line it up after the game or not. These kids' mouths are crazy. Half of y'all don't see or be in those lines. 100%, Sam. Some of the stuff being said in these lines is crazy. It is crazy. I'm telling you. These kids will have you as a coach like, yo, wow. And guess what? Nobody believes the kid said what he said to the coach, because by the time the coach turn around and say something to another coach, the kid is going, I didn't say nothing to him. So now people just see Phil wigging out or going to the coach. Yo, your kid said this. Yo, you got to get him. So it's tough. Tito nailed it, said David. We are evolving, and it's evolving for the worse. Growing up, I've always shaken hands, but right now, after heated games, it's not always the smartest decision. You got to do what's right as a coach to do right and protect your kids in the moment, 100%. Kids are walking by saying, shaking my damn head, or you B-word. Kids to coach, kids to kids. True. This is a great discussion. I have never heard this discussion before. We might be the first ones, Tito, in the nation to cover and say, is it time that all youth programs, look, maybe they don't change, Tito, but is it at least time for them to take a look at the policy? Maybe they discuss it and they come out to the same agreement right now.
Listen, here's another situation. Let's say the referees lose control of a game.
Which
they lose control of the game. It's way chippy. Shit's completely out of control. You end the game. At that point, I don't think it's a good idea to go shake hands. Get your team, bring them to the corner, break them down, talk to them, let the other team clear out. Everybody goes home safe. But as soon as you cross paths, that's where the problems lie, especially in the urban communities.
I know, Sam. I'm on the podcast, Sam, okay? How can a 14-year or 15-year-old shake hands after a tough or chippy high school game, but not in a youth football game?
Because the youth football culture has devolved. I'm going to say it again for everybody to understand. Our culture has devolved. We've let too many cats that shouldn't be out there. They're influencing the kids. They're influencing the messed up behavior. It has devolved. I don't know how else to explain it. But as a person that's been here longer than most and outlived a lot of the people that I came into this thing with, I'm telling you guys, it has devolved, especially in Connecticut. I'm not speaking for everywhere else. In Connecticut, it has devolved.
And we said, Tito, it was no different than playing 7-on-7 at Michigan versus at your local tournament. Kids know what they have to lose in high school. And youth football, they feel like they have less to lose and there's less accountability. Now, some of that is true. And if they have a low character person coaching them, then the accountability is lower. So they tend to do something they won't do in high school. Or you can send a coach and your captain to shake hands at the end of the game. Not a bad idea.
We're looking for solutions.
The problem is not addressing the issue and what programs consider problems, but also finding ways to be productive in our own programs and not just talking about it. be what we want to show, but also what's best for our kids. We know when it's too much for them personally. Forget the image for the sake of the game, for the sake of the end of the game. True. I agree. Wes says, Sam, yeah, I've had this happen too. Had to pull a kid aside to bring them over to the other team and hash it out because ultimately it's a game. Talking crazy without consequences now, it put these kids in a bad situation. It does. High school does have more to lose. The point of my question. As a ref, I've seen games ended early, and that's only time I've seen hands not shaking. That's true. I've seen games go to full distance and not shake hands in my youth football career. I've seen full games go, and people choose not to shake hands. As an administrator, I walked over, and I guess I at the time, it was at 10U too. I made them shake hands, and I stood in the middle and told both staffs, these kids need to shake hands. Like I said, I don't think it's optional 6U, 7U, 8U, 9U, 10U, 11U. I'm talking about 12, 13, and 14 could either be high school or entering high school. That's that puberty age where a kid will turn around and act like he want to square up on Tito and Phil, right? And you could lose control very, very quickly of those type of situations with the older kids. With a 9-year-old, a kid coach will drag him up by his jersey and lift him up in the air most times. You're not doing that with a 13 or 14-year-old dog. My 14U team is all bigger than me. I mean, what I'm going to do when they all start wilding out and rushing another team? What am I supposed to do? Right? And so I guess the best thing I can do as a coach is know my team, have them practice as much as they can. But even in the NFL and college, they fall short of the goal. And when they fall short in youth football, the difference is the parents is right there. When they do it in college or the NFL and you at the big house, you're not getting to the field. But when it happens in the youth football world, it's not just the coaches breaking up the kids. The father is jumping the fence. The mother's running through the gate. Yeah. The cousin is jumping in. And so it goes mayhem because the families have access. Unlike high school, college, and on, they respect the boundaries. There's a lack of respect of boundaries when it comes to youth football. It just is. It's the coaches. I don't care what y'all saying. Maybe. I think Tito made it clear by saying there's a lot of low character individuals. He's not talking about the kids. As a league, we can enforce code of conduct. The teams get upset and leave and find a place to play where they can act like what they want. True. The league should let them go and keep enforcing a code of conduct. It's unfortunate, but it's true. It's true. Some people ultimately will choose to play in leagues where they have a little bit more leeway for this stuff. Literally, my kids is bigger than me. They are, Alicia. Phil, I stop at 12U. I don't have time for what you just said. It's true, Wayne. People don't want to admit it, but when you get to 13 and 14U, you're dealing with a whole different character of youth, man. And their influence is not the same as the influence of the 10, the 9, and the 8-year-old. They are influenced by, by the hip hop rap culture that's telling them you can be tough and put your hands on anybody you want, and if you do it like that, it's gang. They're not influenced by that. The 13 and the 14-year-olds, you add that with the fact that they may have psychological issues, with the fact that they may be dealing with something, with the fact that they're upset, with the fact that they're going through puberty, with the fact that they built like a grown-ass man, you got a problem on your hands. It's just true. So us against Edgewood Eagles, we had several dirty plays. Don't do us where the coaches reactions were excited. I did not shake hands. Coach tried to shake my hand. I declined to avoid any BS. Right, but at that point,
I think at that point it's easier. Just cancel. If it's like that and everybody feels like that, and we've been chirping back and forth, it's best to pack your team up and just exit as a unit. Everybody get to their cars, go home. We'll talk about this Monday at practice. There's no point of shaking hands if it's in that situation.
Gil, I think more than
absolutely. Absolutely.
Gil, I think
more than ever.
I think the moral character of the parents is getting worse because of social media. I have built my child up to be this monster player, magnifying his greats, but never discussed his flaws. And we get into a game. My son ain't getting off. I told y'all he was the greatest player ever, and we lose on a 4th and 1. It looked like he got the first down. The ref said no. The game is over. He blows the whistle. He takes his hat up, and I'm heated because I told y'all my son was the best running back in all of New England, and he only had 7 yards. And Tito walking around going, "We shut his ass down." So you know what happens? The light happens. Because, why? Because the low character parent starts to come out. Instead of going, "Look, son, we're going to get it back next year. We got to be better. We got to get better so you don't stop them." Those type of situations happens way too often. Gil, you are absolutely right. That's the best comment all night. Tito is spot on. It's the young coach who has no skills that hypes up stuff that shouldn't happen.
There's guys that talk like for instance, when we were coming up, there was older cats from us when we was trying to come up and make our bones as coaches. We would never think to try to disrespect them cats or do it. You tried to beat them on the field, and you did everything in the world. You'd be losing sleep over the shit of what you had to go through when you knew you was playing that dude. That ain't like that no more. Now because of social media,
you wouldn't disrespect one of those guys because you'd be pushed out the culture. Let's be honest, Tito.
Right.
You couldn't disrespect. Right. Who was back in the CTYFL? What was his name from Vernon? Was it with the glasses? What was their name?
Hagler, Scott Hagler.
Yeah, Hagler. Like you ain't mess with home. Yeah, it was no disrespect when you
Leon from Bluefield. Or Leon Campbell from Bluefield.
Leon,
back in the day. He wasn't talking. You might talk crazy to his
away.
assistants, did he? I believe he did, but he was a Bluefield legend. Everybody knows Leon Campbell. But he used to keep the young coaches. You chirp with them, but you wasn't chirping with the old man. Nope. You wasn't. You wouldn't even think to. You wouldn't even think to do that. You get what I'm saying? Like,
and nowadays, they do it because they tough. And they don't even understand. It's a difference between respect and tough. It's a difference between respecting somebody that you know is out there, even if you don't like them, never disrespected them. Leon was a dog. I did not like Leon, dog. Not personally. I'm talking about when I went to Bloomfield Field. I remember going to Bloomfield one time. Boots could tell you about this. Bloomfield had the illest setup, dog. Leon wouldn't talk to you. When you showed up to his practice, you couldn't get to him. You had these 2 ladies. You tried to cross a bridge, and these 2 ladies would come. What do you need to talk to Leon for? I'm like, yo, damn, like this is crazy. Me and Boots was trying to go over there to set up a game between the Hurricanes and Bloomfield. And Leon was like, nah, we don't talk during the game. Y'all got to come see me at the end of practice. Like, who does this thing think he is? In my mind, I was saying that. Now, I heard of Leon. I knew. Remember, we had got into the CTYFL even though we didn't play one year. We got in. So I had to have extensive conversations lobbying for Leon vote. That was another thing, Tito. We didn't disrespect the people of power because we needed them to be in
you
position.
Wouldn't get in. Right.
Be in position. Right. Nowadays, it's so much for so many people. People don't care. Man, Phil, I don't care that he got power in Pop 1.
We was in those rooms. We was in those rooms as leaders, as dudes in our mid-20s or early 20s. We was both in positions of power, our 20s. That's how we met. And we used to be in a room. Everybody in there was 50 or 60 years old. You couldn't go in there with all that bravado and shit that we how we was acting in real time. You couldn't go in there talking that crazy shit. That's for sure. You had to kind of just shut up and be like, listen, learn the voting process, learn who the rules.
You had to go in there with answers. This is when the room used to shoot off questions. Ain't like today. Oh, you want to vote him in? Yeah, let's vote him in. I don't really like this, but yeah, he in. No, bruh. You walked into the room and motherfuckers sat there and said, okay, one by one, how much equipment do you got? How much did it cost? How many helmets did you buy? You got shoulder pads? Let us see them. Like, you had to have your stuff together to get in. I remember. You had to have your stuff together to
I
get
saw
in.
it. I saw it firsthand.
CCFL would go. I remember them talking about how much weed gets smoked at the field in Hartford. Dog, this is back when weed wasn't legal, so it was a problem then, right? Like this is when money was being made off of weed on the corner, like real money. So this was when it was illegal, right? This is when they used to smoke reefer. That was called reefer back then, right? So like this is a time, and I think our culture would be better if the younger coaches, if it was one major league and you had to show respect in order to get in, because it would bring the temperature down. You wouldn't be able to be disrespectful. You can't mouth off and talk shit to anybody and still do what you want. Like you wouldn't be able to do that. It would be certain people you can't disrespect. Read that comment that's texting you, brother. It must be funny. They saying something. I've never had an issue.
I'm gonna tell you what they say. I'm gonna tell you what they saying.
I've never had an issue. And you can say it. If it's at me,
I'm
you
gonna
can
tell
say
you.
it. I ain't emotional.
No, they ain't shooting. Ain't nobody shooting.
I just feel like it's not that deep. Sleep in peace, Coach Leon Campbell. Justin, no Leon. Leon was actually a cool dude, but he was freaking a straight.
You had to catch him off. You had to catch him off the battlefield. You had to catch him off the battlefield.
I remember bumping into him. I'm gonna tell you when I knew Leon was cool, because I ain't gonna lie. At first, I was young and I didn't understand his OG attitude. I went to Wilson. They have the soul food spot, and I walked in there. And Leon was in there. He was like, "Hey, what's up, Phil?" And I'm like, "They speak to me. I thought you ain't like me." Then we just vibed out and talked, and everything was cool. But for all that time, because he was so strict when I would be in the room, Tito, like hammering me, dog, hammering. I'm like, yo, why is this dude killing Hartford the way he's killing it? I know why. Because you remember what happened when the Hartford team got in that league. He was adamant there will never be another Hartford team in that league. You remember what happened? You guys are right. Yeah. Old heads ran the leagues and meetings. We fell in line. 100%, Wayne.
Yo, dude, there was a time. I don't know what you're talking about, but there was a time, like I said,
marijuana smoke and smoke from the grill. As a child, we couldn't tell the difference. We didn't. I'm gonna be honest. We didn't smell a lot of marijuana back in the day at football games, dog. It was another level of respect.
No, 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago, there was no young people. 20 years ago, there was no young people that ran these leagues. Everybody that ran these leagues, younger people being involved is a now thing. Before, when we was coming up in this, it was all plus 50, 60, maybe 7-year-olds in control of these leagues. All of them. Not just one of them, all of them. All of them.
And let me say this. We're not, and I want to clear this up because I don't want nobody taking the words left. We're not advocating keeping it an old man's game. What we're saying is there can still be a level of decorum and respect that come along with, even if it's a little younger. Maybe the 50s and the 40s should be respected differently than like the 70s and the 50s were. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Because for the most part, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for nobody. For the most part, there is nothing y'all can do in a football game that's going to make me want to harm nobody. There's nothing you can do within the confines of a game. No referee call, no hit. There's nothing that's going to make Phil want to harm somebody. That don't go for all of the young coaches throughout New England. That don't even go for some of the coaches our age throughout New England. There's nothing that can happen that will make you want to harm somebody. For me to put everything I have built and my whole all of my dependencies on my back, for me to just swipe and throw that all away, it has to be something bigger than a call or a youth football game. In my opinion, I probably had the most success I'm ever going to have in youth football, Tito. I hope that's not true, but let's be honest. Percentages say the most success I've ever had in youth football, I probably reached my peak probably reached my low, Tito, when we first started. You remember the Hurricanes, 0-8, every level. So I probably had my peak, multiple national, 3.7 million people watching us on ESPN. I'm the head coach all over TV. That's a peak. Most people never going to get that. So if you're talking about peaks and valleys, I've already reached probably my personal highest peak and my lowest valley. Ain't nothing in between there going to get me to cause harm to nobody or even want to. Yes, I'm going to argue. Yes, I'm going to get mad. Yes, I'm going to be emotional in the game. One time I played West Haven, Rick and them beat me. I ain't even shake their hand. Ask Rick. I walked off. Nigga, don't say nothing to me. F y'all. Then we was cool the next day. It just took me a little bit of time, right? My kids shook hands, but I was like, I'm not shaking your hand.
But there's another case. There's another case.
I'll tell you, I didn't shake their hand. And it wasn't because I was going to fight.
There's another case, though. But you wasn't going to spout off the Rick. You wasn't going to spout off the Rick.
No,
Why?
no.
He's an elder statesman in the game. Older than, that's what I'm saying. That respect is now no longer existent.
Right. I agree.
We was bred a little differently. We was bred a little differently. If I walk by one of these young dudes today and I don't shake their hand and they mind we beefing. Rick ain't feel like it was beefing, like, man, feel mad. They actually was laughing at me. I heard them laughing at me. I ain't get emotional. Oh, nigga, who you laughing at? I didn't get like that. I was pissed off. Yeah,
one of my players, this was back in the day we had the scale. He missed the weight by 0.6 pounds. He was my best player. I felt like they was happy. I didn't want to shake nobody's hand, so I walked off. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't let him play neither. I wouldn't let him play. I know who you're talking about. I wouldn't let him play neither. He missed by a pound. Yo, Phil, usually I'll let this go, but not today.
Listen, I was on fire. Now, mind you, with him, we beat him, Tito. Without him, we lost by like 28, 30 points. I was heated. We undefeated. We in West Haven, their home. We took their side of the field, too. We did all the stuff you ain't supposed to do.
I told you earlier in that year you won that first game by a fluke anyway, dude. So Murphy's Law came into existence on you.
That was a good game. Primo had them completely mentally whacked out. But if my team isn't mentally and emotionally can't lose, that's a reflection of me, and I'm the one to blame. I agree.
Listen, we could all say we got control of the situation. My point is, I believe as a community, we have lost control of the situation. You guys don't have to agree with it. I'm telling you, I believe as a person that's been in this community for a long time, and as a partner of my friend here who's built this platform and pushed this culture forward, that pushed the Connecticut youth football forward to a New England stage, I believe those days have left us. You guys don't have to agree. I'm telling you, from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and observing and being a part of, those days have left us. You guys don't have to agree with it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and it's sad too to think like that. I like your comment, Justin. Experience is the best teacher. Younger coaches need to respect the older, wiser coaches, and maybe that's what it is, right? They need to just respect.
I don't even want to say it like that because honestly, there's some of these cats that I don't. You know what? Let me just shut up because there's some of these cats I have no interest in anything.
Yeah, I know.
Just leave it alone.
I want to play something for everybody. We're going to move on the topic, but this is my friend Kendrick Moore, and I want to play something for everybody. He had a message that I thought this would be a great way to cap this off. Hold on.
You to something and they say, oh yeah, you're a part of this because we just want to group you in. If you did not earn it, do not accept it. If you didn't earn it, do not accept it. And this is why. Because the system is created to make people look more successful than what they really are.
That's where the low character parents are coming.
That's our system today.
Listen to his.
This is why the numbers are increasing. And how are you going to increase the numbers of something called the National Honor Society while at the same time reducing the standards? How do you do that? I'm going to make the standards less just so I can increase the numbers? That's the system. So it makes you feel like you're accomplishing all of these things, and meanwhile, you get into a competitive environment and you feel lost. Like you feel lost. Like, what am I doing? Because those other people, even if they didn't have the title of being a National Honor Society member at their school, they're willing to get after it with anybody. They're willing to compete with anybody. Like, how are you going to compete with somebody that's hungry, that get after it every day?
So let me say something.
The system makes you look.
I'm gonna finish with this, Tito, but let me say something. There was a I don't know if y'all looked at the first slide. The first slide he had, and Kendrick Moore. If y'all don't know him, y'all should become friends with him. He has great. He has a good podcast. He has great messages. His name is Kendrick Silk Moore. He does speaking engagements. If you're having a banquet, book the man. But let me tell you something. His slide said, information is the greatest equalizer. Application is the greatest separator. Now, for everybody out there that didn't pick that up, I'm gonna tell you what I took from that. Information is the greatest equalizer. Tito, if I take 100 D-backs and I say, listen, everybody keep your ass low, stagger your feet, keep your feet shoulder width light. When you backpedal, if you keep your ass low, you won't fall back. That is the greatest equalizer. I have just made sure, Tito, everybody will do that. Right or wrong, I've told them information is the greatest equalizer. They should all be able to do that and start off at the same spot. Application, Tito, is the greatest separator. Those that stand up tall when backpedaling, they're going to fall. How you apply that information will decide who will be successful backpedaling and who will make it to that 10. Information
application
is the greatest equalizer. Application is the greatest separator. I'll let you go ahead and do that. Hey, Gene, I'll send that to you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna copy the link
to his
page right now. I just copied the
link.
Listen,
if you want me to give you, I could give you. Just look at what youth football has become over the last 20 years. Just talking about what he's talking about, the systems, how the National Honor Society has lowered their standards to make their numbers grow. What have we done with Division I, Division II, and what we've done with these independent leagues?
Division
what have
3.
We done? Everybody gets a trophy now.
It's D3 and AYF now.
Everybody gets a trophy now. So everybody thinks they're that dude. This goes for coaches. This goes for coaches. This goes for coaches. So everybody thinks they have the right, instantly, because they've played a bunch of nobodies and haven't really put in a body of work. They believe they have the right to question people. You get what I'm saying? You see how it's all relevant? It's everybody thinks they're that dude because the standard is so low.
We have lowered the standard in youth football for what's considered success. Before, Tito,
absolutely.
If you did not win a regional championship, you just didn't even think you were successful.
You could lose one game and be left out the playoff. When it was all one division, you could lose two games, you was out. You lost one, you may not get in. You get what I'm saying? That's how it used to be. But
now,
no longer like
and
that.
I'm not knocking nobody, but now I don't ever even have to coach fall. But if I win spring championships, I want the fall people to respect me.
Don't work
if
like
I win
that.
the fall championships, I'm asking the spring people to respect me. There is no
spring
standard
is still
the whole thing.
The fall is still the premier. Fall is still the premier season. What you do in the spring, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's good for some of us. Yes, you develop players, but it means nothing. It's just a fact.
Registration trophies. I like that, Gene. I like that. Registration trophies is what his kids call those. That's a good one. Tito, I'm gonna let you end it, brother.
I'm good, brother. I thought tonight was a great insightful conversation. I think it was insightful conversation. Hopefully we can keep pushing the culture forward. I think people really need to look at this shaking hands thing at the end of the game. And I think it's something that we need to continue to talk about moving forward. Besides that, I thought it was a great podcast. It's your boy, Coach Correa, the General. Peace to the guys in the earths.
Hey, listen, it's your boy PH, aka the Prez, aka Mr. Above 140. And I'm just gonna tell y'all like this, man. I'm gonna go back to what my boy Mr. Moore said. Just remember that information is the greatest equalizer, and application is the greatest separator. And I think that it's important that we keep that in mind as we navigate even life, Tito. I think that we should keep that in mind, because I think it's important that we can apply that. For those that ask for that DVD of Air Assault, I'm about to go upload it. I'm going to send an email out first thing in the morning. I got to go get home to my wife. Peace, love, and hair grease.